be gathering those and organizing them, and then we'll be fielding questions during our Q&A session at the end of the presentation. So first of all, what is our town hall? We've done some of these last year. If you're a returning parent, you may have joined us for some of our town halls last year. The town hall is really all about just an opportunity to get the community together, where we can present some different highlights and things that are happening in the school, and really give you as parents the opportunity to ask questions about what's happening specifically in the division that your child is in, as well as across the school, and what things about the plans and future and the vision for the school. Any questions that you might have that that you would like us to address as part of the school community. So it's really about forming our community, building our community, and supporting one another. And we just want to welcome you to our first ES Principal Town Hall of the year. Hopefully we'll be able to do this at some point soon, actually face-to-face. For now, it's still a blessing that we can be together online and see one another in that way. So I would like to go ahead and get started with my presentation for today. I'm going to just be highlighting some things this morning about the elementary schools, some things we want to celebrate, new things happening this year. But first, for our new parents especially, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Lance Kirshner. I am the elementary school principal. This graphic here sort of sums up some highlights about me. First of all, you'll see right in the center, the cross there, I am a Christian, and just cannot imagine what my life would be like without the love and grace of Jesus. And so thankful for what God has done in my life, and just very happy to share my testimony. Also, I'm a dad. I'm a single father, raising two girls, Samantha and Lily. Lily is now going into grade 2, and Samantha has started grade 10. And so you'll see them front and center there as well. I am an educator, have been my entire professional career. I started teaching right out of university as a grade 1 teacher. I've taught a number of grades in elementary school as a homeroom teacher. I've also been a Spanish teacher. I have been a literacy coordinator as well as a principal. I have many years of experience, and I continue to try to learn and to develop my craft as an educator and as an educational leader, so that we can continue to improve teaching and learning across the school. You'll also see some flags there. These are countries that in which I've lived, in which I've taught. I'm originally from the US, taught there for 4 years, and then made the move overseas to Singapore. This is actually my third time to live in Singapore. I moved away a few times, and Singapore called me back. God had a plan for me here, and I'm so happy that he called us back here. I've also taught in Guatemala, and I've taught in Egypt. So been all around the world in a number of international schools as well as in the US. You'll also see at the bottom the guy lifting weights there. I am a bit of a fitness buff. I love to talk about health and fitness and nutrition. If there are 3 things that if you get me started talking, I'll just talk about forever, it's Jesus, my kids, and health, fitness, and nutrition. So I definitely enjoy that. And would always welcome a conversation about that at some point. So also you'll see the Star Wars poster. I'm sure many of your children probably have told you already that I am a huge Star Wars fan. Some might call it a bit of a Star Wars nerd, but I'm very proud about that. My office is decked out with Star Wars, and I carry around an old-fashioned metal Star Wars lunchbox every day with my snacks in it. So very, very proud of being a Star Wars fan. And I know we have a lot of Star Wars fans with the students in elementary school as well. You'll also see the microphone and the piano there. I'm a musician and a singer, a worship leader at my church, and enjoy serving the Lord in that way. And serving not only at church, but also at school whenever I can as well, for praise and worship time. All right, so that's a bit about me, just to give you a bit of background. So now I would like to just talk about some highlights this year in elementary school. This is how we started off our first principal town hall in elementary school last year, just sharing some highlights for the year. So I'd like to start that off with a number of highlights for this year. First of all, a highlight is just that we're on campus face-to-face. There are a number of schools around the world that have been online since March of 2020 and are starting another school year online this year. So we're just so blessed. The Lord has just been so good to us here in Singapore. To be able to be face to face with the students is one of the highlights of my day, to see all these happy kids coming in the front gate, coming off the buses, getting out of cars in the morning during the drop-off time, getting to greet them. Really a blessing that we can be here in person with our students this year. So that I want to just start off with that. But a few of the highlights that I'll be covering today. I want to just introduce some new folks on our elementary school team. Some of them you may have met during our orientation time, but just in case you haven't had a chance to meet all of them, I want to talk about those. Well, I'll talk about the new Bible curriculum that we're implementing this year. Also a bit about some speech therapy services that we'll be offering at ICS this year. I want to cover our MAP testing results from our last cycle of MAP testing, our standardized testing, and celebrate that. We're really happy about those results. And then I want to talk about service learning in the elementary school this year and some highlights and some new things that are happening starting this year. So let's start with our new folks on the ES team. First of all, in K4, coming to us originally from Mauritius, but coming to us most recently from Korea is Mrs. Karen Francois. She's our new K4 teacher. We also have a new teacher in K5 this year, Miss Katie Johnson, also coming to us from Korea. We have a number of teachers joining us from South Korea who have taught there and are now making the shift to Singapore. We have 3 new teachers in grade 1. First, another teacher coming in from Korea, Miss Carla Cienfuegos, from teaching in grade 1. Also in grade 1, we have Miss Mary Beth Fields. You might recognize the last name Fields. Miss Mary Beth Fields is the sister of Mr. Jesse Fields, who is our elementary school art teacher. So we're really happy to get Mary Beth here. We've been trying for a number of years to have it work out to get her here, and we are finally able to do that. So really happy to have her joining us. And also in grade 1, we have Mrs. Amy Hansen. Mrs. Hansen is not new to ICS, but she took a year off last year to work on her master's degree and to focus on some other areas, and was available to come and join us this year, and we're happy to have her back. She previously taught grade 2 at ICS and then took a year off and is joining us now back at grade 1. So really happy to have her. We also have a new teacher in grade 3, Miss Rhonda Smith. So this is a great small world story. Rhonda actually was teaching in Egypt. We were not at the same school where I was working as a principal. She taught in a different city in Egypt. I was in Cairo and she was in Alexandria. And when I found out that she was coming to Singapore, Dr. Rader got the 2 of us in touch, and as we got to talking about that, found out that she's from the same home state that I'm from and taught in the same school district in Arkansas that I taught in before I moved overseas. So really happy to have Rhonda joining us in grade 3. Also in grade 5, we have Mrs. Angel Garrett. Mrs. Garrett's husband, Brad, is teaching in our music and arts department in middle school and high school. So we're happy to have both of them join us. Angel is joining us in grade 5. They're coming to us from a Christian school in Kazakhstan. Now we have Mr. Denton Jones. He is joining us in the PE department. He's teaching K4 to grade 4 PE. Mr. Jones has been in Singapore for a while, working in another international school here in Singapore. And we're very happy to have him bring his expertise and just his energy here to our PE department at ICS. Also joining us in a number of different roles is Mrs. Rachel Wargis. You might recognize that last name as well. Mrs. Wargis's husband, Tim, is our grade 2 teacher, taught grade 1 last year, and he's teaching grade 2 this year. Mrs. Wargis is joining us, taking on grade 5 PE and also helping in our learning support department. Right now she's doing some learning support for middle school, but she has a flexible schedule so that if we need more support with our children in that program in elementary school, that she'll be able to help us there. And then she also works as a substitute teacher when we need her to fill in that role as well. So she's doing a number of different roles here at the school. Very happy to have her joining the team. Now, this is not a new face to ICS. Ms. Jui An, she taught grade 1 as a homeroom teacher last year, but she's made a shift to our ELL, our English language learner teacher this year. So we're happy to have her joining us in that new role. So I wanted to include her, not necessarily as new to the ES team, but just new to that role in ELL. Also joining us in ELL is Mrs. Amy Lee. She's working mostly with middle school, high school, but we needed some additional support with our ELL program in grade 1. We often get students who come to us joining ICS, and English is not their native language, and they need some additional support in English. And we have a very strong ELL program. And we're very happy now that we have 2 full-time ELL teachers across the school, from elementary school, middle school to high school, that can support our students in that way, so that they can grow quickly in their acquisition of English, become proficient, and be able to shift back into the regular curriculum in the classroom. We have a very high success rate with that, often being able to exit students after sometimes even after 1 or 2 years of ELL. They're able to exit and then go back into the mainstream program that we have. So very happy to have Mrs. Amy Lee joining us. Also, we have Mrs. Jenny Stackman joining us in learning support. So she's working with our students who require a bit of extra support with their academic learning in ELA and math and other areas across the elementary school, starting from grade 1 all the way to grade 5. So happy to have Mrs. Stackman joining us. She is a parent of 3 children here at ICS and was a substitute teacher here last year. And we are very happy to have her joining us. She brings a lot of great experience to this role in learning support. So happy to have her joining us. And then Ms. Jessica Rajamanakam, she joined us toward the end of last year and worked for a few months here as our ES academic assistant. You have probably received a number of pieces of communication from her, but I wanted to go ahead. We didn't get the opportunity in our first town hall last year to introduce her. So I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to introduce her, and you got to see her face here. She's joining us behind the scenes today for our ES town hall. She's been a fantastic addition and become like my right hand here in the elementary school academic office. So really happy to have Miss Jessica joining us as well. So those are our new folks on our team. Very happy to welcome them. All right. Now, before I go into the other highlights, I do want to talk a bit about our new vision for ICS. You'll see that our mission, our core values are tightly connected to our vision and where we're going. That's indicated in this graphic here. Our mission has not changed and our core values have not changed. Our mission is still educating minds and transforming lives to impact the world for the glory of God. And that's tightly connected to what our core values are, which are academic excellence, a biblical worldview, a caring community, and personal excellence. As we have worked throughout the course of last school year on our strategic plan and where we really see our school moving, seeing ICS moving in the next 5 to 7 years, that began to shift what our vision is. Our vision statement is very aspirational. It's not something that we can just reach out and grab and reach this goal next year. This is very aspirational as we strategically plan ahead. Where do we want to be in the next 5 to 7 years? And so that began to shift what our vision is. So we crafted a new vision statement that we're moving forward with this year. So our new vision statement is: our authentic international educational community will serve as a gateway to purpose, empowering and equipping global learners to lead positive change. And we're very excited about that vision and how that impacts different areas across the school. And as I talk through these highlights, I think you'll see very closely interwoven throughout. You'll see aspects of this vision and how these new things that we're beginning this year, that we're implementing this year, that I'd like to highlight, are very connected to what our new vision is and where we're going as a school. So our next highlight is our new Bible curriculum. Last year, we piloted a couple of different Bible curricula, and we started with 3. We met as a committee. We narrowed that down to 2 different sets of Bible curriculum, and then we piloted both of those across the elementary school. We gathered feedback not only from teachers, but also from students. We wanted everyone to really have a voice in making this decision about what type of Bible curriculum would be best as we move forward. And we're very happy to be implementing the Deep Roots curriculum this year. Some highlights of that are that this curriculum is very tightly aligned across grade levels. That was something that we really needed to make sure happened with our Bible curriculum moving forward. So starting from our little guys down in K4 to K5 all the way up through grade 5, the curriculum is very closely aligned, and it builds gradually so that children can gain in their knowledge and in their understanding of God's word. Also, it's aligned to our ICS Bible standards. We are a standards-based school, as you know from what we began our implementation last year with standards-based grading, and we created a set of new Bible standards, rewrote those for elementary school, and we want to make sure that our new curriculum is aligned to what those standards are. So we've done that work as well to make sure that it's aligned to those standards. The curriculum Deep Roots is designed to also help children learn to defend their beliefs. It has an apologetics side of it. Apologetics is being able to defend what you believe in. Not just say, I believe it, but really talk about the evidence that supports why that is. And so the Deep Roots curriculum has that component and provides students with those tools to be able to defend their faith and to defend their beliefs. And it is created to give opportunities for students to really dig deeper and do some deeper thinking in God's word. It doesn't just scratch the surface. It's not just about memorizing God's word, although that is a very strong component of it, is that we want to memorize God's word, but it has the application of being able to dig deeper and do some really deep thinking. And we're very, very pleased with what we're already seeing with this new Bible curriculum implementation, and look forward to see how that continues to just grow as we move things forward. All right, next, I would like to highlight speech therapy services at ICS. We started this toward the end of last year, in the second semester of last year. We brought in an outside vendor. Her name is Jenny Cameron. She's a professional speech therapist here in Singapore. And because she's an outside vendor coming on campus, we're able to provide a place for her to do speech therapy with students who might need that additional support. But the school doesn't receive any money from that. The billing can be just done directly from the speech therapist. So it just becomes a great convenience for parents whose children might need that support, so that she can work with their children while they're on campus. So we coordinate with the classroom teacher, with a homeroom teacher, to find a convenient time that the student can be pulled out of class, where they're not going to be missing too much of the learning that's going on there, pulled out during that time to provide one-on-one speech therapy services. The billing is just directly with the parents, so that you don't have to necessarily take your child for outside of school hours for that additional support if they need that. And the real advantage of that is that having an on-site speech therapist here allows more collaboration with the teachers, that direct collaboration with the teachers about what the students' needs are and how the teachers can better support that child in their speech and language development. If I can just give a personal personal experience with this, my own daughter, my grade 2 daughter, received these services last year. And even just in that short amount of time, she had these services once a week with Jenny for about 45 minutes. And I began to really see a big change in some of the challenges that she was having. So if you are interested in that, I'll be sending out, I'll post this on Schoology later on today, how to get in contact with Jenny. You'll just get in contact with her directly. And then based on feedback that she gets from parents, we'll set up a schedule for if the parents decide to move forward with those services, then we'll set up that schedule for her here and work with the homeroom teacher to coordinate that, and then get everything in place so that your child will be able to receive these services here at ICS. So very happy to be able to continue that offering this year as well. All right. Next highlight, I want to highlight our MAP results. As you know, one of our core values is academic excellence. We place a very strong priority on that. We want to make sure that our students are competitive with other schools in the region, other schools around the world when it comes to academics. And our MAP results, the numbers from that, really bear that out. So these are the results, the average scores from our last round of testing in spring of 2021. So the comparison that you'll see on the graph here is, first of all, where what the average scores were worldwide. So every school in the world that takes the MAP test, this external standardized test, what their average scores were. So you'll see that listed first. Next, you'll see the IRCOS results. So IRCOS is uh, the collaboration or the group of schools here in Southeast Asia. So the international schools, private schools, public schools that are part of the IRCOS conference here in Southeast Asia. So we're talking some of the top schools in the region that take the MAP test. You'll see their scores listed there. And then in math, reading, and in language. And then finally in red, you'll see ICS and where ICS stands. And as you can see in both math and reading, which is taken in K5 all the way to grade 5 in the elementary school, and as well as in language usage, which starts in grade 2. So our K5 and grade 1 students don't do the language usage test for MAP, but starting in grade 2, grades 2, 3, 4, and 5 take that. Our school ICS is outperforming schools around the world, as well as schools within the region. So from an academic excellence standpoint, ICS is in very good standing and is remaining very competitive. And so that's something that we definitely want to celebrate and highlight as we start the year off. All right, and then finally, I would like to talk about service learning in elementary school. As the first part of our vision statement says, ICS is a gateway to purpose. And we want to teach our students that they have a purpose. God has created them for a purpose. And we want them to be global leaders. We want them to affect positive change around the world. And that starts when they're young. And that's why service learning is so important across ICS, not only in middle school and high school, but starting these guys when they're little in elementary school, teaching them to think outside themselves and look for ways to serve their community, to serve others around them, and to make the world a better place. So very happy to talk about these highlights for service learning that are new this year. So first of all, our service learning standards, being a standards-based school and placing such importance on service learning across the school at ICS, we felt it was important that we wrote standards for service learning. What are those expectations, those learning outcomes for service learning? And so we wrote those for elementary, middle school, and high school, and then we can teach the students about that and help them really see where we want them to be and how we're supporting them to get there. Also, we're starting a new program this year in elementary school for service leadership. We have a group in middle school and high school called the Night Lights. So they are our service leaders, and they help to coordinate different service opportunities and service programs and service projects in the secondary school. But we wanted to have that trickle down to the elementary school and start working with students from an early age to teach them these important leadership skills, to be able to organize and to create opportunities for service in elementary schools. So this is starting this year in grades 4 and 5 based on teacher recommendation. There will be some grade 4 and 5 students that are chosen for this Little Night Lights program. Because this is the first year, we want to try this with grades 4 and 5 first, and then see how that's going, reflect on that, see what's working well, see what we might need to change, so that as we move this forward in subsequent years, we can move this down to some younger grades as well and start teaching these service leadership skills even earlier. But we're very excited about this Little Night Lights program that's going to be starting this year. Each year, we also have a service learning theme. Last year, our theme was a servant's heart, and we talked with the students about the parable of the Good Samaritan that Jesus told. And then from that, we talked about characteristics of what it meant to have a servant's heart and how we can show that to others. We're just continuing to build on that with our theme this year, which is running the race. There are a number of references in the Bible where God compares our walk with him and the Christian life like running a race, training for a race, keeping our eyes forward on where we're going in the race. And so we're going to take that theme that has a number of references throughout God's word and make that our service theme. So how can we run the race well as children of God, and how can we have a servant's heart? How can we serve others as we run that race well? Something else that happens in the school each year is called See You at the Pole. This is an initiative that started several years ago. I actually remember when this started when I was in junior high and high school. A group of high school students in the United States got this started. It's a time of prayer, a time of collective prayer, and it's called See You at the Pole because that was where they met. They met at the flagpole at their school, and they gathered around the flagpole at their school to together and pray together as a student body. And that has continued now, not only in the US, but now in schools around the world. And so we continue to do that here at ICS, but we want the elementary students to have a much greater role in participating in this. So our little night lights are going to be actively involved in organizing See You at the Pole this year. Last year, because of COVID restrictions, we had to do this virtually. We're not sure what it's going to look like this year, depending on what the government restrictions are, but we were still able to organize virtually a great prayer event, but it was mostly organized by middle school, high school students last year. So we're going to have our ES students join in with the organization of that to help them develop these leadership skills. And then finally, we have each year, we have SEW, it stands for Spiritual Emphasis Week. You'll see in the picture here, our elementary school students last year in our Spiritual Emphasis Week, they're doing some music and movement. We weren't allowed to sing because of COVID restrictions, but they were still able to praise and do worship music by movement and dancing. So you'll see them having a great time with that. So we'll be using that running the race theme for service learning throughout the year as we build our Spiritual Emphasis Week program and provide the students a number of opportunities to serve not only within the school, but also we want to try to get them outside the walls of the school as much as possible to serve the community around us. So we're really excited to share about that. So these are just a few of the highlights this year that we want to celebrate. A lot of exciting things happening this year. We're really looking forward to what God has in store for us this year. And to just see how he works and moves this year in the lives of our students. I hope that as I share these highlights, you'll really see interwoven throughout these our mission, our vision, and our core values that I shared earlier. All right, so with that, I would like to turn this over to Mrs. Sarah Go. She's going to be the moderator for our Q&A time. So Mrs. Go, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everyone. So good to see all of you here. As mentioned, my name is Sarah Go. I serve as the Advancement Director. And today, I'll be moderating the Q&A. So if you would like to turn your cameras on so that we can see your faces, that would be awesome. And if you have any questions, please submit it in the chat below. But thank you so much for those of you who submitted it in advance. So let's start. Are you ready, Mr. K?
Ready to go.
Oh, very important question. Question number 1. When will our students stop wearing masks? Good question.
That is a great question. I think all of us are asking that question every day. We do follow what the government guidelines are. And right now the government guidelines are that any child who is age 6 and above is required to wear a mask. So we follow tightly to what the government guidelines are with all of the COVID restrictions, including mask usage. So we will continue to wait to get guidance from the government on that. And when the government feels like that is the safe choice for our students, then we will follow in line with that. But we don't really have a timeline for that. We just have to wait and see how the government directs us on that point.
And a link to that question, does ICF have any contingency plans for positive cases in school?
Yes, again, this really goes to what the government would instruct us to do if we had a positive test case in the school, but we do have a contingency plan regardless of what that might be. If the government said we need you to close the school for a few days just so we can do deep cleaning, we have a short-term online contingency plan for that, for online learning to continue, to just make that seamless. We did a lot of proactive planning at last year and as well as this year to have those plans in place. If it's a longer period of time, depending on what the government instructs us to do, it could be a few days, it could be 2 weeks. We're prepared for that contingency with our online learning plan ready to go. a plan for getting tech devices home with students. As if you're a returning parent this year, you'll know that we even had a few days last year that the school was required to go online, not because of a positive test case. That was all schools in Singapore needed to go online. And we had the plan in place to be able to get tech devices home, to be able to run that online program during that time. Thankfully, we were able to finish the school year back on campus, but we're ready to go with whatever that contingency plan might need to be, depending on how the government instructs us.
Okie dokie. Moving on. When will ECAs and field trips start?
I feel like I keep playing the government instruction, government regulation card, but that is we do respect what the government tells us that we can do. Right now, they have directed us, they have instructed us that for the time being, for primary school children, for preschool and primary school children, that ECAs and field trips are currently suspended, but we already have plans ready to go. I've had teachers already coming up to me saying, hey, I've got a great idea for a field trip. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? When can we do this with our students? So the plans are already in motion. So as soon as we get the green light from the government that those can start up again, we're ready to go and excited to do that.
Okay. And parents are also really excited to come on campus. They want to know, when can they start coming on campus?
Yes, well, we do have some opportunities for volunteering on campus, and so you can get in touch with Mrs. Go. You can get in touch with Jessica, Miss Jessica, if you would like to volunteer on campus. We have things like the bake sale. We have popcorn Fridays, and sometimes bring our parents in to help do popcorn for that. Right now, we're still not able to have parents interacting with our students. We love to have parents in the classrooms volunteering, helping out with different things actually inside the classroom. Right now, we are not able to do that because of the restrictions, but as soon as we are able to, we want to have parents back on. So at least in some small ways, parents can come onto campus. We do have certain guidelines and rules that we have to follow because of that, and we can give you more details about the steps involved with that and what the guidelines are, the requirements are to come onto campus. But at least in those ways, bake sales, popcorn Fridays, things like that, parents can volunteer. And then as soon as we're able to, as soon as we get the green light, we will open the doors and welcome you with open arms.
Thank you. And let's switch gears a little bit. What do elementary students learn in the social studies subject?
Great question. So social studies, we follow again the Common Core standards from the United States, and really the social studies program is first of all learning about who I am in the world, starting with myself. Who am I? All about me, and then beginning to little by little branch out from there to learn more about the community and the world around them. So the younger students first learn about themselves and their close by community. Who are the people around the school who help us out, and how do they help us? How can I, as a member of that community, also help? And then they just build on that. So that starts from the little guys. Just as an example, in grade 2, I'm going to be going into a grade 2 class today. They're going to interview me because one of the things they're learning about in social studies in grade 2 is what are the characteristics, the qualities of a leader that we look for in a leader. So they're going to be interviewing me as the leader of the school to ask me about my motivation about being a leader. What do I feel like are qualities of a good leader? Because those are the things that they're learning about. And then they just continue to build that. In grade 5, for example, I'm kind of highlighting some different grades throughout the elementary. In grade 5, for example, they begin to branch out even more. They begin to learn about ancient civilizations. They learn about ancient Roman civilization, ancient Greek civilization. Last year, one of the highlights of the year was the grade 5 Greek Olympics. They had learned about the ancient Greek civilization and the competitive sporting events that they did. And as part of that learning process, we actually held a Greek Olympic Games. Some of the kids even over their uniform, they came with a sheet like a toga, and we did a number of events from races to javelin throws to discus throws. The javelin was just a meter stick, and the discus was just a frisbee. But the kids had a great time, and it was a great way to take something that happened thousands of years ago and actually try to bring it to life for them in a very hands-on and real way. So really, to summarize, it's really about, first of all, learning about my place in the world, and then beginning to expand the vision beyond that to other cultures, other communities around us.
And can you help explain to especially new parents or even old, what is the reason with the 6-day rotation?
The 6-day rotation. Well, scheduling. If any of you in your roles has to create a schedule for a number of different people, trying to fit everything in can sometimes be a challenge. But the reason behind it here, it's not just about fitting everything in. It's about giving the students as much opportunity as possible within the group of teachers, the number of teachers that we have, giving them as much opportunity as possible to do as much learning as possible. So for that reason, we run a 6-day rotation. So every 3 days, students are going to music, art, and IDD. And every other day, they're going to Mandarin and to PE. So it's a little, I understand when I first, for new parents, I know I was a new parent last year. So as I was a new principal and I was a new parent at the same time, it takes a little bit to get used to that schedule. But the main thing to remember is odd days, even days. And on the odd days, what uniform do I need? And on the even days, what uniform do I need? But once you get used to that schedule, the kids get used to it rather quickly, and it does provide them some great opportunities to see on a regular basis their related arts teachers. I've been in schools where students may only go to related arts once every week, if that. So we're very blessed to be able to do that every 3 days.
Let's switch gears to nutrition. A question was asked about the timing of breakfast and snacks and whether the schedule would allow for this in classroom. What are your thoughts?
Well, so our schedule is, it is a very tight schedule. The students have a number of activities, a number of classes, because as I was saying, we want to provide as much learning opportunity as possible for the students. I do understand that new schedule, especially when it comes to snack time, breakfast time, lunch time, it can be a bit of a transition for our students. I understand that both just as an early childhood educator myself and as a parent. We don't really have the capacity within our schedule to have an actual breakfast time that we would need to do that in a healthy way. We really need an extended period of time to do that. So we don't have a set breakfast time in our schedule. It really is important for students to eat breakfast before they come to school, but we do have a morning snack time. So depending on the teachers, and this is really up to the teacher's discretion, if parents have some questions about the timing of the morning snack, they can direct that to the teacher. It is up to the teacher's discretion and really what's going to work best with the schedule for the class as to when they have their morning snack time. But there is an opportunity in the morning when the students can have a snack time, because usually mid-morning they do start to get hungry again. They have breakfast at home, but then we're very active here at school, a lot of engagement and learning, and so students can work up an appetite. They start to get hungry and start to tank a little bit because they get hungry at mid-morning. So we have a mid-morning snack time. It's not a long period of time. It's usually about 15 minutes or so, 15 or 20 minutes, where the kids can just unplug a little bit, sit down at their desk, chat with their friends in a socially distanced manner, and just enjoy a morning snack. So that's the way our schedule is set up.
So the next question is about safety and attendance. How can a parent confirm if a child has arrived safely in school?
Yeah, great question. We do have a check-in that we do each morning as far as temperature checks, scanning IDs, temperature checks, scanning IDs. For students ages 7 and up, they have a token the trace together token that we scan. So those things are logged as well. But then each individual teacher also, if a student is not absent, if a student's not present in the morning and the teacher has not heard anything from the parent, it would be important as a parent for you to just touch base if you're keeping your child home because they're not feeling well, or maybe they have an appointment or something like that and they're coming later in the day, just to touch base, just an email to the teacher to let him or her know. That would be really important. If a child is absent and the teacher has not heard anything from the parent, then we have asked the teachers, just send an email to the parent just to check in, make sure everything's okay. So that really closes that loop as well, to make sure that all the students are here. For students who ride the bus as well, the bus company would have its own safety standards as well, as far as how they would just check to make sure that all students have been picked up, all students have been dropped off. So if you have specific questions about their procedures for that, then you can also contact the bus company directly about that piece.
And another question related to safety: does the school routinely conduct lockdown drills for ES kids?
We do conduct drills because of the current COVID restrictions. We have certain ways that we can do that and ways we can't do that because of the restrictions when it comes to not only lockdown drills, but also evacuation drills, because we have to be careful about mixing certain groups of students together because of COVID restrictions. But we do work with the teachers to make sure that all of the teachers understand what the procedures are in the event of a lockdown, in the event of the need to evacuate the school, a fire drill. We actually have a drill that's going to be coming up soon. We can't do it when all of the students are on campus because of COVID restrictions, but in early September, when we have our professional development day, when the students are not at school but the teachers are here for professional development opportunities, that's one of the pieces that's going to be built into that as well, to just practice a drill so that we can actually see in real time how that would work.
And are we anticipating any more face-to-face school activities or events this year, such as carnivals, Spring Fest?
I hope so. I'm praying for that. I'm praying that will be able to happen soon. I know that things are moving in a good direction in Singapore. They're little by little beginning to relax certain restrictions. With the most recent update that was announced just last week, more people were allowed to return to the workplace. People who had been working from home, more people were allowed to return to the workplace. So little by little, things are moving in a good direction. Again, we'll wait and see how the government gives us guidance on that. Right now, they're saying no large gatherings, especially at schools with large groups of parents being on campus. We're not able to do that yet, but hopefully soon. Things seem to be moving in a good direction, so we're looking forward to that day.
And you were mentioning that ICS did a restatement for the vision. Are there any new changes this year as a result of the new ICS vision?
Yes, well, so I think I did some of the highlights that I did point out with, especially with the service learning and how we're really making that an even bigger priority in the elementary school as well as across the school, and continue to be more intentional with students about how they can learn to serve their community. That's a huge piece of that. Through our strategic planning that we did last year, we began to identify areas around the school in our strategic plan and our vision that we want to focus on. And then one of the things that we'll be doing this year is forming committees around the school. So faculty, staff will be involved in a committee to focus on these certain areas. And one of the things that we'll be doing this year is really prioritizing. So within this particular area, what are the things that we need to focus on now? What are some things that, as part of our new vision, what are some things that we can set aside for now so that we can really prioritize certain things? And as we identify those priorities in these different areas across the school, and that's everything from teaching and learning to admissions to finance, across the school, these different areas, what are things we need to prioritize now? And as we prioritize those things, then there will be some changes happening, but based on that collaborative work that we are doing in committees.
Alrighty, we got 5 more minutes and a plethora of questions to answer, so we'll do our best to keep it short and sweet.
All right.
What kind of requirements will the school put in place for staff who are not vaccinated?
Well, again, we do follow what the government guidelines are on that. Right now, we are required by the government for anyone, regardless of vaccination status, anyone who's working in a capacity that would be considered high risk. So our early childhood teachers, our PE teachers and our coaches, myself as well, and our school counselor in elementary school, because we work very closely with our early childhood students. Every 2 weeks, we are required to do testing, and then we have protocols set in place with that. Our security officer and our first aid officer have undergone training from the Singapore government in order to be certified to supervise those tests. So we do that testing regime, and then the government has also announced that beginning October the 1st, any unvaccinated adult who works closely with any child age 12 and below will need to be tested twice a week. So for anyone unvaccinated, we will be implementing that program as well to make sure that we're following in line with what the government has required for that.
And the next question is it possible to let our students use their own empty lunchbox for school canteen food? And can we see a photo of the food so that we know the portion that's being served?
If you have questions about the canteen specifically, we can direct you to the canteen directors. But as far as the portions and the nutritional the nutrition of the meals themselves, the Singapore government has given very, very specific and strict guidelines as far as nutritionally what can be served, what can't be served, how things need to be cooked. And so as a food establishment here in Singapore, our canteen does follow those guidelines as far as what is served, what the portions are, and they can give you more information about that. Can you just repeat the question? I want to make sure I understood the question about the lunch boxes. Can you ask that again, please?
So the question is, hold on, let me get to it. Is it possible to let students use their own empty lunch box for school canteen food?
Their own empty lunch boxes for school canteen food.
Maybe they bring a lunch box and then they put the food in, or give the vendor the lunch box so that the vendor can just put in.
Yeah, I think I'm understanding the question. What we do in elementary school, this is partially because of the COVID restrictions and something, but as we implemented it last year because of COVID restrictions. But then we also found that just for keeping things moving and just keeping the kids things moving efficiently and safely, we stopped allowing students to just go up and purchase things from the canteen directly. We were finding that for one, that violated the COVID restrictions, having the elementary students be able to do that because of the other students that were in the canteen at that time. But we also started doing assigned seating and pre-ordered meals across the school for the canteen in elementary schools, all the way to grade 5. If parents would like to order the meal, they can go online, they can check the menu, they can order what their child would like to eat that day. And then that meal, when the students come out, is already at their place, their assigned seat is there, and it just keeps things moving efficiently and safely for the students. Because of that, we're not able to pack up things to go to the canteen and just get what they just order whatever they want and then put it in their empty lunchbox. We're not able to do that in the elementary school. Once they move on to middle school, there's a little bit more freedom when they a little bit more free flow, still following the social distancing guidelines, but a little bit more of free flow through the canteen line so they can get different snacks and things like that that they would like to get. But as far as snacks for the elementary school, those should be sent from home, and then a pre-ordered lunch can be delivered at lunchtime.
So we have one more. We have a lot more questions, but we only have time for one more. Mr. K, you want to pick an ECA question or an academic question?
Let's go academic. ECAs, we've got a lot of cool things that are planned, but we just have to wait until we can get the green light from the government to be able to start that with our younger students. So, what is the academic question?
What is the structure for Mandarin, science, math, arts, and learning? Will the parents receive a detailed introduction about each year's learning plan or structure, since we can't see any of the textbooks or references?
Yep, great question. So you should have received the syllabus for each of the courses. That should be posted on Schoology. So if you go to your Schoology account for each of those classes, you should have the syllabus for that. If you've not received that yet, please do contact the teacher directly so that the teacher can send that syllabus to you. But that syllabus will really outline what the structure is throughout the year and what the students will be learning. It will give you much more detail about that. And then as the year progresses, you're always more than welcome to touch base with the teacher directly if you have any questions about the academics for any of the subjects. But Schoology is a great place to go, because any projects, assignments, other activities, even if it's not an assignment, if it's just an extra activity that the students can do for fun for that subject, teachers will post that to Schoology. So it is really important that you activate your Schoology account as a parent and be sure to check that regularly. You can also toggle the switch on Schoology so that you receive notifications when something new pops up. So be sure to do that. But Schoology is really the best place to check. But as far as the detailed structure of what each of those courses will cover throughout the year, that is detailed in the syllabus. And so if you haven't received that yet, be sure to please check your Schoology first and see if it's there. And if you don't see it there, please contact the teacher directly so that you can get that information.
Thank you, Mr. K, and thank you, parents, for your questions. And I saw some of you take notes. Very good students. Well done. Back to you, Mr. K.
All right, thanks so much, Mrs. Go, for moderating the Q&A portion today. And I want to thank all the parents and guardians as well for attending today's Principal Town Hall. It's really been great to see you and to get to know you, although it's been virtual, and to have a chance to share some of the important information in these highlights from our elementary school division this year. As we close today, I would like to just close with a word of prayer. So if we can pray together. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much. We just give you glory and honor and praise. Father, you are so good to us. Thank you for your grace and mercy and blessing each and every day of our lives. I just want to thank you for this great school community. Thank you for bringing all of these families here together to ICS, for our returning families, for our new families. It's just such a special group, and we're just so thankful to have these parents here with us and these great kids, these wonderful teachers and staff, all of these people that can come around our students and support them as they learn and grow and develop and become the wonderful young men and young women that you have created them to be. Father, we just offer this school year into your hands, and we just ask that you would bless it and that you would just do great things and a great work here at ICS as we move things forward this year and as we move beyond that in the years ahead. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So I just want to remind you that we were recording, and the recording of this meeting will be sent to your email should you need it. So have a great day, and we will see all of you at our next town hall. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye.